Yeah, I actually didn't know what I wanted to be.
But in this country, it's just so difficult. You need to be like exceptional to actually. Hello, lovely friends. This is Susie from Explorewithsu. Welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time, I welcome you with arms wide open. This is a bit of a chit chat on nursing and a question and answer session with my lovely friend. I hope you enjoy
My
it.
name is Mariama, and we went to the same uni together as University of Eastern, and we used to work on the same ward as well. But then I've relocated to London, and at the moment I'm an ICU nurse.
I did a video about a month ago or 3 weeks ago to introduce this part of my niche. Is it niche? Niche? Yeah, niche to YouTube. And this is the first video that I am doing afterwards. It's just a catch-up video to answer all the questions that I had from social media and from friends who are yet to start nursing. So let's get started. So I had a few questions from people on social media and on this is just going to be like a conversation. It's not like something serious. So just chill, get a drink. Do you have a
Get
drink?
a drink. I don't have a drink. I actually need my glasses.
Get a drink and your glasses. I'll wait.
All right, I'll be back.
Okay. The first question
Wow.
that I had was have you always wanted to become a nurse? Have you to become a nurse?
What do I mean? That's wrong. Dead.
Was it something
Well,
you've ever had a thought of, or
to be
was it
fair, to be truthful, it never did cross my mind to do that.
okay? So how did you come up?
So, hmm, growing up, to be fair, yeah, I actually didn't know what I wanted to be. And the funny thing, the funny thing, like like I grew up in Ghana. You're in secondary school. You're in like primary school, and there's I didn't even know what I wanted to be. I was in sport. I was into sports, so full time sports. I was playing football. I was playing rugby. That's the ladies version, the contact rugby one. So
Okay.
me, I was into sports. I was looking forward to play like Black Queens or something. I was looking forward to play basketball. That's what I was looking forward to do. But growing up somewhere like Ghana sort of has a way of limiting oh your dreams and what you want to be. So it got to a point I sit down and calculate. You want to do sports, you want to do all of these things. It's not that easy as it seems. Do you get
No.
what I mean?
Mm.
You need there's the factor of who you know or who knows you. And
In
if you
Ghana,
take who you know, yeah, if you
yeah.
take who you know and who knows you out of the equation, you still want to push ahead.
Mm.
There's the factor of luck. Some people get lucky and then they get picked or scouted by this foreigners.
Mhm.
And so if you then and it involves a lot of dedication, a lot of money, a lot of time and effort. And then it gets to a point where you have to look back where you come from, your family and then everything. So can you risk it? And I think the long run goal was I was going to come to this country. And I also wanted to do law, actually. I wanted to be a lawyer. But that was for like some nonsense reasons, you know.
Okay.
I was saying if like I'm a lawyer and you bring your case to me and then you're like guilty, I won't say anything, I'll just take your money, but at the end of the day I make sure you rot in jail. So I wouldn't have been a good lawyer anyway. And
That's fun.
then I think I had a chat with my mum, my parents, my mum especially, because my mum was here. And then the long goal was for us to join her here, because we always knew that it would get to a certain point where we would have to leave Ghana and then join her here. So, and I think that's where the thinking and the planning and the reasoning came in the sense that if you come here, she was point blank with us. Was point. She was like, listen, to be fair, if you come here, you're a lawyer from, especially from Africa, studying law. It's very difficult to get into that market and for you to get a job and look at your background and look at where you're coming from and all of this. I to branch out into law. And then the sports too as well. When I was in secondary school, I was still active in sports. But again, who you know, who you don't know. Were my parents ready to push me through the direction of sports? My dad was, but I don't think my mom was particularly in support of that. So at the end of the day, my mom actually suggested the nursing. And she didn't just suggest it because, she wanted to, but she looked at me and then she realized that I have a lot of compassion, which is true.
When we worked together, I saw how you were always going around helping people.
So my mom suggested, why not try nursing? She just suggested it. Like, okay, not to be fair, not like I have a huge plan of what I want to be in future and what. Listen, I've changed my future, my dream job like several times as a child. It got to the point I wanted to be a journalist. Tomorrow, if you ask me, I want to do this. Tomorrow, if you, I wanted to even buy a motorbike at a certain point. Like, I had some nonsense dream. Like, I didn't really have anything planned out. So I decided to give nursing a shot. And lo and behold, it turned out I was actually good at it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's why I'm here now.
Okay, cool. Well, in my case, I think I was just like you. I was doing a lot of sports, and but I didn't have that mentality of going into sport as a career. I interested in drawing, and I was pretty much good in drawing, even though I wasn't really talented at drawing. I would have to take a long time, visualize what I have in front of me, and then take my time to draw it. So if you give me something now, I'm not that talented to just look at it and then go ahead and draw it. But I learned few tricks that I used at the time. Went to Italy. My parents were there. I had to start from the beginning all over again. So I had to kind of do high school again because of the language. So it was pretty much difficult. I had to learn the language. And then I decided that I wanted to do law as well. But to be a lawyer, you have to actually know how to talk, to be able to put your clients there. And I I don't know if that was meant for me or anything, but I thought about that as well. I didn't think about nursing or anything healthcare wise. I just so I got the form from high school to feel to go on to my next level. And then the night before, I prayed to God. I was like, show me what to do, tell me what to do. And then the next morning I woke up and that was the first thing I put on the paper. That was how I knew that, okay, maybe this is a calling for me. This is what I need to do. I think that night I actually had a dream of helping people. So when I woke up, I visualized that dream and just went ahead to But I feel like that was my own calling, just like in that healthcare profession. So I thought of being a doctor, but then I feel like it's too long of a process.
I know, right? I also thought it was like 6 years.
Yeah, I'm actually regretting it. I'm like, I should have done that because
you should. I don't know. I was like,
yeah,
I could have actually been a dentist, or I could have done, medicine. But after that time, I was like, 6 years in school. No, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, because think about it. It's I started nursing in 2017 and finished in 2019. So if I had done that, I would have been somewhere by now. I should have done that. But anyway, we are here now, and I'm still thinking about that. So that is another thing.
You can still do it. You can. I don't think you have to do the whole 6 years now, do you?
No, because of the nursing, I think I had to do only 4 years.
Yeah, there you go. Wait, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we've done 8 years in total. Then
8 years.
For 3 years. If there's any top up, if there's anything that I would want to do now, I think I would want to divert from the healthcare setting. Still want to stay in healthcare. I'll probably do dentistry.
Okay.
If probably I want to do something with well, to be fair, I'm thinking of doing my master's. Not gonna lie. I'm thinking of doing my master's for a year, and then become advanced nurse practitioner or something. Well, I've been searching for a uni that would take me 1 year, and the ones that I've found so far is in Wales. If anybody's watching this video, if you have any uni that's not in Wales and it's London, or at least 2 hours, 1.5 hours from London, please comment.
And I think we've talked enough on this topic. Or not
We should
topic.
go on to the next one.
The next bit for me on here. What was your campus life like? When did you live on campus at all or private?
No, I did. I lived on campus. I got the campus accommodation,
Okay.
Constable Terrace,
Okay.
for a year. Because I think, well, I was about to say I think you're allowed to stay there for a year, but no, you can continue if you want. So I got the campus accommodation like for a year, and then I decided to move out with my friends. So after I've made some more friends, and then we all moved out, got a place. And then
Okay.
we shared.
Not even for once.
What?
I never stayed on campus.
Is it? So wait, were you living in Norwich?
Nope. I moved to Norwich. So I went, first of all, I went into a shared accommodation with people I didn't know, but they were quite friendly. It wasn't, they were Asians. Were they Chinese? I think so. And they were really friendly, really cool people. And I lived there for 6 months, which was the end of the contract. Like 6 months, you have to renew it, but that was so expensive. It was even with the amounts that I was paying, I think it would have been worth it getting like a studio flat.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, getting a studio.
Was it 700? Because I was paying 700 something to being in the campus accommodation.
I was paying more than that, so it would have been better. Because I was looking at other flats flats and which are in share houses and studio flats, and it was kind of around the same amount of money. So I was like, and
I was not saying you could have gotten
yeah,
a flat for or say 1 bedroom or something for 700. As at the time we went to Norwich, as at the time like we started uni, I think houses were relatively
expensive.
cheap. No, cheap. If I could put, as compared to now, because apparently now it's gone up. I mean, obviously I've left, but what I'm hearing now is I wanted to come back. My friends like, no, it's gone up now.
Yeah,
but when we got there, 500, 600. One of my friends was living in 1 bedroom, no, a studio flat, for like 600. It's just obviously at the start it was some of it was non-furnished. At the start, she had some things that she had to buy and put in there. But their house where she was living was good and nice.
So what do you suggest? What would you advise people who are moving from wherever they are moving from to come to university in Norwich? What would you say on campus, or because we both obviously we have different experience. You lived on campus, I outside, and I've always lived outside. So that has got its own advantages and disadvantages to it. Because first of all, you are going in with people you don't know. But that can be a good thing because you can always make friends with them. And secondly, the thing that I did not like was the fact that I had to go to work, come back, and I want to rest. And these people are partying like 1 a.m., 2 a.m.
That's everywhere.
Yeah, that's everywhere. That's also on campus because I've had people who were really annoyed because the mates would just pass and do stuff.
You know, to answer that question, I would say it depends on the individual. Everybody and what they are looking forward to get out of uni. Apart from just going to study and obviously get your qualification, there's other things as well that adds up to your CV that you may not even know, or it adds up to your own experience that you don't know, even when you go for interviews. So, say if you live in on campus, there's two options because what my accommodation was just two people in the room, not even in the room. We had our own separate room. Yep. And then we shared toilet, bathroom, and kitchen. So I went with my friend that I already know, Belinda, you know her. So I and her were in the same thing. So I didn't really have much of that. And Constable Service was relatively quiet because we paid a bit more money for that sort of almost privacy that you get. It wasn't a lot of privacy. It's
Yeah.
almost, because then it's two in a room. So for me and my friend, yeah, that's about, if somebody went in with someone who's not their friend, they have to get along with each other and stuff. So that's what I think. But if you go to the other accommodations where there's like 13 people in a flat and you've got your own room, but you're sharing like kitchen and you're sharing the living area. But some of them you have your own bath and toilet. Some of them you share like bath and toilet with like 3 people or so. Those ones tend to be noisy a lot. However, me having my private place, I used to jealous them at some point, because in the sense that so the only friend that I had in the first year was my friend that I went with.
Okay.
In the first year. And then until I got to know people from my class.
Okay.
Whereas if I was to be in a flat, it sort of indirectly forces you to, at least you see people, you say hi or hello to people, you get to know what's going on campus, you get to make a bit more friends. So the people that were in, like 13 shared accommodation, they had a lot of socialization to do. Sometimes when we go for like outreach, because I was in the church group, when we go for outreaches, that's where we aim for. Because when you get all of them in a kitchen, you can get to talk to all of them. And they knew, they were vibing, they were chatting, we telling out what's going on, and they knew what's going on. They had a lot of friends, they had a lot of social life. And so you just have to know the kind of individual you are and what you're looking out for. I know the sort of person that doesn't mind sharing about, because I don't like sharing toilet with a lot of people.
You see, that's the thing for me. I like the fact that they were all together and, you get to know other people, you get to make friends and all that. But I can't bear sharing toilet and bath with a lot of people, like even 3-4 people.
Yeah, I can't share toilet with a lot of people. If it's 2 people that I know and I get used to, that's fine. And also the neatness level sometimes, you go to the kitchen, sometimes it's dirty and it's
Pretty much was good because they were quite neat. There was one thing that I learned and liked from them. When you go into the house, you don't go inside the house with your shoes. You have to leave them at the front. So there was like an area where you go in before you go into the house. You have to leave your shoes there so that the house won't get dirty. And the house is never dirty at all. And the fact that I was the almost only one using one of the bathrooms, it was 2 bathrooms, and I was almost the only one using that one. And so I like that. So
if you live with people who are matured enough and know how to share living space or living area, it's good.
it's good.
You don't have to clean up to somebody. You don't have to clean the toilets and it's mess. Because I spend a lot of time in the toilet. I can do my course assignments in the toilet. Mostly that's where I actually learn. So if I'm sitting on that toilet bowl for a very long time, I make sure it's clean.
Yeah.
And that's one of my obsession. Was even when I moved in with my housemates, where I chose to clean the toilets and the bath every day because that's my area. So if it gets dirty, you have to think about that. So sometimes I thought about like, I'd rather share space with someone that I know and I'm comfortable with than to share space with a lot of people that, yes, I was looking forward to the socializing day. I would have loved it. I'd have been happy.
Oh yeah. I feel like with nursing though, it's a lot. You have to put, so the whole university thing, I feel like what you put in is what you get out. So if you put a really hard work and positivity inside what you're doing, then you probably get that back as well. And at a point it can be hard, but it depends on your
It was hard. It's not at a point it can be hard.
yeah,
My
but
darling, it was hard.
it is hard, but it depends on your time management. That's what I feel though. If you
You can
manage,
manage your whole time, man. It was hard. You basically don't have a life. I
you know,
don't have a life.
give people some kind of positivity, my friend.
No, I'm
It
telling
was
them the
hard.
truth. You don't have a life.
I'm not going to say it's gold or a platter of gold or whatever. I'm not going to say that. No, it was hard, especially the placement. Your legs are aching and, you don't have enough sleep. You don't have money. You're broke.
To be fair, I think we should talk for ourselves because there's some people who actually had life.
But
There are some people who had life. There's some people who were
well,
partying and enjoying their life. You know.
this is what I didn't do though. Most of the time, I would dedicate it into my uni work, my coursework, and placements, and then work. I didn't have a lot of social life. But I will advise other people who are coming to do nursing to be able to manage their time whereby they can say that, okay, on Saturdays I want to spend it with my friends. On Saturdays I want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
I want to go out with my friends, because it gets intense and it affects upstairs. It affects your mental health. So you need to make sure you are having fun as well as you know studying, because if you just study, placement, you break down.
Yeah, it makes you go cuckoo at some point
Yeah.
because some people were enjoying it. I think I mean, that's what I used to think. I may be thinking shallow at this point, but I used to think that, if you would have to work to support yourself extra, it sort of takes away that time for you to socialize. Because in your spare time, so apart from me being in the library studying, because sometimes what is being said during lectures, I didn't hear a thing or I didn't understand into details. So spend the extra time to do director studies and do course assignments so that I can have time to go to work and make some money.
Make some
I used
money.
to do some of my assignments at work, so I intentionally chose night shift. I think anybody trying to do nursing should have time for their social. Even if it's my friends, to go to a certain point, we decided that listen, every month, although we work, we'll go out. So what we used to do, we used to go to some. I mean, this is Norwich. Where can you actually go to, if not parks and a place to eat or sightseeing? So we decided I did the museum, I did most of the tourist places, and then I decided to go to so we used to go out to the movies every now and then, and I decided to volunteer. Actually, you see, in all my busy schedule, I managed to fit in volunteering. So I was doing language buddy for the foreign students on campus. So, and as part of WeChat, we used to go out to as well. So then that fit in. I'm like, I exhausted my whole timeline in a day, and I make sure that I fit in, even if it's sitting at home. Because I used to play. Now I don't even have time to play video games anymore. But I have like the PlayStation, so I sit at home sometimes and I play by myself.
So at the point you just don't play video games anymore.
Yeah, now I don't have the time to play anymore.
Well, I did join a group at the university. This is the great thing about it. They do have a lot of groups at the uni where you can join. So you can join, maybe if it's your African Caribbean or whatever, you can join all those kind of. So I did join one group though. It was different people meeting up and having a bit of study, and then like a get together thing, getting to know each other, that kind of thing. It was nice.
Oh, that would have been lovely. I also joined the group. I joined the just like I said, I used to play rugby in Ghana, contact rugby. So I joined it, but I never had time to even go for one meeting. Just because they were rehearsing on Sundays. I think they used to meet on Sundays, mostly Saturdays and Sundays, isn't it? Or sometimes like during the week. And for nursing, weekdays already is gone.
Yeah.
My weekend Sundays, I'm going to church. And sometimes after church, I think from second year, third year after church, maybe I'll pass the library a little bit. Or after church, I'll catch up with a few friends from church, and then go home and sleep. Because the following day, maybe Monday, I'm going for placement or we have lectures or something. So I never had time.
As a recap, we are just trying to tell people that nursing can be difficult, and the most important thing is you have a time management skill. Even if you don't know how to manage your time, this is the time you need to be able to manage your time, because nursing is all about time management. If you go to placement or if you start working, you would have to learn how to manage your time to be able to do all the assignments, all your to-do and all the things that you want to do on that shift. If you don't manage your time, you may not be able to catch up. So yeah, so it's all about time management. Maybe have a calendar on your wall, Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday. If you're going to uni 2 days, twice a week, fair enough. You can leave those 2 days out, and the rest of the days you can dedicate it to yourself. I'm going to do my assignments, or Monday I'm going out with my friends to watch the movies, or having a friends over, studying together, going to the library together. Even if you have a laptop at home, going to the library is helpful because you will meet people there. You will go there with your friends and maybe your course members or course colleagues or classmates. So it is nice to go to the library sometimes. Can you imagine? I slept in the library once.
You slept once. I and my friend Sean, we used to do all night. We go there, we
Nice.
go back home the following morning and go and
Nice.
sleep. And sometimes, yeah, I used to go to the library, and then let's say it's like 11, and I had to walk all the way home. And then there was this part, it's either I cycle or I walk. And you already know my story with cycles. When I get to the hill, I push my bike, isn't it? And then when I descend the hill, I ride the bike. So it got to pass like I'm gonna walk. And then it's not, they don't have lights all over the place. So I had to walk through this alleyway full of darkness. When I was writing my dissertation, I go home late. I went to the library, go home late. Because I made sure, so they give you like the assignment way before. So I made sure that every day I do a piece of the work. Sometimes I just go and write the title down and underline and I go home. So every day I make a piece of the work. Or I started reading, I started doing my research papers, and then I'll go and find. So I started to use the lecturers, I use student support. Again, my aim was to get to first class. Okay. Some people at a certain point it became true because funny thing is nursing, you get first, you get second, you get third, we all get the same pay rates. So some people's motivation was, listen, I'm not gonna kill myself for this. I'm using all the student support and all the things. So every day I do a piece of my work, I give it to them. And I remember I had a migraine for the dissertation because I wasn't sleeping. I'll go home. My the person that was giving us my assignment from, they give you like how do you call it? A supervisor. So they'll give me a piece of work to go and do and bring it. Piece of work to go and do and bring it. And I wanted to make sure that I hit deadlines because I wanted to get first. I'll get home like 12, sleep for 1 hour, wake up, continue the work. And sometimes she come and meet me half asleep with my laptop. My housemate has to be checking on me all the time. She'll come in, open the door. If I'm asleep, she'll switch off my laptop. And the moment she close the laptop, I'll wake up. She'll be like, "See?" Sometimes she seizes my laptop from me. Because it got to that point. My head was hurting. I remember it was Christmas. I even did assignments on Christmas Day.
See, this is it. Don't, anybody watching this, don't do this. Because if you do this, you are going to burn out. You're going to like literally dry out.
You're gonna overstress yourself.
Because I was doing that too. At a point, I was just like so tired and I just want to sleep. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can still enjoy yourself. You can still have life while studying. So
you can take it easy. Like,
yeah, you need to take it easy. This is our mistakes. Because I see that one of the questions here, what is the greatest mistake you ever made while studying? I think this is one of the mistakes that I've made. Like always dedicating my time, just studying, not having a life. No, it doesn't have to be that way. You can have a life. You can have a life.
You should have the balance. You need a balance in life, and it's very important. A false balance is an abomination. You need a good balance in life.
Yeah. And I suppose that brings us down to one of the questions we say is how do you manage your placement and your university work?
That one, sometimes you can have a perfect plan, okay? But if you go into a placement that you're not supportive, you're gonna it will have a toll on you. Do you get what I mean? So most of the time, well, then again, I'm a Christian. I believe in prayers. So I make sure most of the time I pray way ahead that I get people who understand me. So when I go into the placement, I say to whoever my mentor is, so and so, I'm sorry, but I have to work to fund myself or to support myself. So please, for Saturdays and Sundays, I pick up shifts. So can I work from Mondays to this? Besides, you're supposed to work, is it 37.5 hours? There's a set number of hours you're supposed to do. So what I do is I play around those hours and then I pick the shift. Sometimes if you have a good mentor, they can make you pick whatever shifts that you have to pick. And then the person that you work with can give them feedback, but just make sure, because the uni has a certain amount of hours or times you have to work with your mentor. So you make sure you work with them. And by God's with the mentors, I had one mentor like this. She was like, so far as she is on the shift, I don't necessarily have to work with her. She's fine. So when she's on the shift, I worked with her a couple of times, and thank God she liked the way I worked. So what she used to give me my own patient. I go there, I'll be like, don't worry, I'll take all the patient. So I take the patient, and she was nurse in charge, so she'd go about doing her charge duties. Yeah, so you work around the hours with them, and then you have a set days, like certain hours out of it that you can work. That's how I used to balance the placement and the work one. There were some times where I could go like a whole week or weeks without working, which is fine, because at the end of the day, your studies comes first. You need to pass. If you don't pass the placement, they'll kick you out, even if you get like 99% in your exam. So you need that.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, unfortunately, sometimes you have to like, quote and unquote, lick the ass of your mentor. Just be like, stick to them and other things, bruise their egos and stuff, just to get away with what you want. Always look at the bigger picture. When you get what you want, you are out.
Placement thing is something that I have to talk about later, like a whole topic on placement, because as you said from the beginning, I like what you did though. You go to your placements, you negotiate with them, you talk to them, and as I said before, this is where what you put in comes in, because if you know what placement you're going to, you go to your placement to just familiarize yourself with the placement area. You talk to you go to see your mentor, you are friendly with them. I think they will like you from doing that. I think they will be able to offer you the shift that you want, because I mean, nobody's perfect, and you have to think about the fact that these are also people. The way you are going to relate to them, the way you're going to show your art of respect, your art of just being yourself, not the way you talk. Yeah. So the way you talk to them, if you bring yourself down to that level, to the level they will understand you, like if you sell yourself, you put yourself out there, I think they would like you, because this is what I always used to do. I would go to my placement way before time. I'll go there, get to know my patient, get to know my mentor, talk to them, and then tell them when I'm actually available and tell them my situation. And I never had an issue with that, honestly.
Yeah, what you said, it works, which is true. I used to do, I never go to my placement before the start date.
Okay.
I go on that day, because all the time they have like induction stuff that you have to do.
Yeah.
And then, the placement always sends me when I'm starting in my rota ahead. So actually, when you get your rota ahead of time, it actually helps and it's good.
Yeah.
So then you can plan your time around it. But if you get some placements don't do that, they make you plan as you go, basically. With some placements, they are quite flexible. You sort it out with your mentor. So even though they'll plan ahead of it, they'll tell you to sort the times out with your mentor. So I can go to my mentor and say, you know what, I want to travel to London, this and this. Can we swap this for this? Can we swap that for that? I may not come today. Maybe I'll do half hours today. Just make sure that you have the 37.5 hours at the end of the week. And some mentors are good. But I had this placement, and that was my final year placement. They were difficult for no reason. And
Yeah.
sometimes you do have such you have such people. Sometimes, unfortunately, you're faced with such people. Such people where you don't even know what else to do at this point. You don't, because they won't reason with you. They won't. I had a man. There was a number of night shifts that you have to do, and I had finished my night shift by the time I got to like second year. So I was not under any obligation to do night shifts. But my mentor does only night. And that put me in a position where I have to do a lot of nights, not every day, but I had to do most nights to get to do my stuff. Like, by the grace of God, I got out sleep. Like, I managed to get out of that because I went through again. I'm very competitive sometimes. Like, push myself too hard sometimes. So I made it one of my aim never to get risk of failure. Never.
I don't think.
And then I'm in my final year. These people want to put me on risk of failure. Why? Because it was flimsy excuse. Because the manager said I emailed her during it wasn't working hours. I emailed her on Sunday. And when I know, right? I mean, everybody was like,
doesn't even make sense.
Emailed you on Sunday doesn't mean open the thing on Sunday. Obviously, I know you work on Mondays. When you open your lap or your computer, whatever, you see the message on Monday.
Yeah.
It is unprofessional. And I swapped a bit of my shifts. I didn't come on certain days, so I swapped. I phoned the ward. And it was right. I phoned the ward. I gave them notice. I'll not be able to make it. Plus, I'm not even counted in the numbers.
But
I'm a student.
Here's the thing people don't tend to understand. Anything can happen. Somebody can become unwell all of a sudden. Somebody can have issues and that they may not be able to be there physically.
My dear.
And by God's grace, you get some people who understand the points, but there are some people who just don't.
Dear. So I'm being unprofessional. They counted, they make sure that they account for every student. Like, hours goes into planning. I understood it from that point, and the fact that hours goes into planning of this, placement to accommodate every student, and then make sure that there's somebody on who can at least teach them something. So I can't just be swapping my shifts here and there. And then I was like, yeah, to be fair, I get your point and understand. However, I gave you prior notice. I did it, yeah, but it's unprofessional. You're emailing me outside working hours. And I was like, I needed a thing on Monday. So when was I supposed to? I know you will see it on Monday. I've informed the ward too as well. It was a lot of things. And then now I'm booking my own spokes placements. Who told me to book my own spokes? It was like my mentor did.
I've been told you always need to be proactive and book for your plate.
I've always booked my spokes. I have always arranged, and I'll come back and tell my mentor, listen, this is what I think I need to learn instead of this. So I've arranged with them, like, oh yeah, that's good, because they don't have time to do it. Even sometimes my mentors tell me to go and sort it out.
Yeah.
And book it. Yeah, you're not supposed to be booking it. The ward has to arrange it for you. I was like, that's not what we're told.
The ward has to arrange it, because sometimes the mentors, sometimes they do recommend you to go to a specific place because they deem it's important for you to know those things. But sometimes when you feel like there is an area that you want to explore, they want you to actually arrange that to them.
I arranged it. And the funny thing, thank God the mentor wrote it down in my meetings that, yeah, she told me to arrange it. She's aware. The doctor, so I went to the doctor, and the doctor even recommended, the doctor said, oh, come with me. He made me scrap in and everything. That was no saying, no, this, that. So I told him my mentor said I should book it. It's like, oh, okay. It's not supposed to happen, yada, yada, yada. You're going to call how do they call those people? Is it a link? No, not a link lectures. They're clinical educators. We need to have a meeting. You need to put me on risk of some more thing. And prior to that, I had already told the clinical educator that I wasn't really enjoying my placement because I felt that there were certain things going on. But then again, I can't, you know what I'm trying, like, I can't pinpoint, like, I don't have clear evidence, but it's not comfortable. And me,
yeah,
I've been in that I've been in that place before. So the clinical educators knew me. And I had never complained. People be saying this, you will never see me raise my hand to complain about a thing. You will never see me do. Sometimes I go for meetings. If I know the answer, I'll contribute. Sometimes I don't. I'm quiet. I keep to myself, but I do my job. So I never complain. And then when I had my final, so the clinical educator, she went on annual leave. So she was never there for that meeting in the first. So we never had it. And then my final sign of my mental clinic was like, oh, the manager said she should at least write this inside my thing. And I was like, but you told me to. She's like, oh yeah, I told her everything that, I'm just going to write it down. It's fine. I was like, do whatever you want. Can you read these people? These people were trying to give me low marks for professionalism. So I asked her a question, and that was the first time. Mostly they do that. Mostly I realized that throughout my reports, they always mark me down for professionalism or communication. And I don't challenge it because all you needed was a pass. But that final one, I gathered balls and I said to them, why are you giving me this mark for professionalism? She said, oh, she didn't really go. She was like, and I was like, first of all, do I do my job? Yes. Because professionally, they had written 1, 2, 3, come on time, uniforms look clean, wear the right uniform. And that's what professionalism was, communication, talk to your patients, communicate with whatever. And I was meeting all of that. I was meeting all of those points. So I asked him, do I come on time? She said, yes, you actually do. Do I call if I don't come on time? She's like, yeah, you actually do. I've never seen you coming on time before. Okay. Is my uniform dirty? No. Have I ever come in with the wrong uniform? Oh, no, your uniform is always clean. It's fine. Do I talk to my patient? Yes, I've seen you chatting to your patient all the time. Do I tell you when something needs to be done? Yes. Do I speak to the other MDT team? Yes. I was like, so why did you film? Why did you give me a lower grade in that point? She was looking at my face. Like, I was like, is it because I'm quiet? It was like, yeah, maybe. So I was like, that is my personality.
Doesn't mean anything. Somebody can be quiet, but yet they talk to their patients, they relate with their patient, they ask things.
Exactly.
I
said to her, that is my personality. Am I doing my job? She was like, yeah, you're doing your job. But because I'm not chatting with you guys and telling you things about my life, you're failing me, you're giving me a low grade on that point. Oh no, it's not just that sometimes, you're quiet, a bit quiet. I was like, but am I doing my job? Yes, you're doing your job. I was like, yeah, that doesn't require you to give me a low grade. She was looking at my face. And I didn't say, I was like, it's fine, you've already signed it, give it to me and let me go. And she gave it to me and she was quiet. And I realized that you have to challenge those things sometimes. And that they'll fail you because you're not, I'm a quiet person. And then mostly nurses forget what they learned from school. And that's one thing I also realized when I was home.
We've tried as much as possible to answer the questions. And so bringing us back to our last questions of how did you cope with placement and all that, which you answered with what you used to do. And of course, with me, I kind of know the days that I go to placements again still. So if I'm going to at least 3 days or 4 days a week, if I'm going to placements, then the rest of the day, the rest of the other days, I can dedicate some time to my coursework. Yeah. If it's theory that I'm doing, then I'll just do my directed studies and also just spend some time relaxing, because after 4 shifts or 3 shifts and not actually having some time dedicated to yourself can be a bit hectic as well. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, guys, this is it. Anything you want us to talk about or you want me to talk about? My next topic will definitely be on placements. It's a big thing. It's one of the biggest thing ever. Whole video on placements, just to talk to you guys about the starting things you need to know before you start and what you need to do, like things I wish I had known before I even started.
Done.
Yeah, my journey.
That's true. Things if I go back, things that I'll change is I'll definitely talk a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Oh, I'm so glad
darling, anytime.